compete. Maddie, what do you make of all of the quarterback stuff as far as Trey is concerned? Have the Niners changed their feeling on Trey? Because they always maintain that they haven't, but he was the starter, and now he's not just the backup. There's Sam Darnold here now with a contract that includes incentives. And then you have Ian Rappaport, who works for the NFL Network. He's been talking about a trade seemingly all summer, all spring, and then when even on draft day, on day 3, when I thought, okay, we can put the trade talk to bed, and Trey's just going to be here. He's like, this could happen this summer. And then I'm listening to Rich Eisen. He's on with Rich Eisen, and Eisen's talking about, well, the Niners won't want to pick up that exorbitant 5th-year option on Trey, and if Brock looks good and Sam looks good, and that they could actually still move off a Trey in a trade. What's your sense of it? You got a good handle on this, but you're as close to this story as anybody. Where do you think they actually are with Trey? What do you think the actual plan is with Trey? Do you think he's here long term? Somebody asked him, hey, would you like to be somewhere else? And he was like, before the question could even get out, he's like, oh, no, I want to be here. I want to be here. Where's this going? And
I
do you have any idea?
Yeah, I wish I knew, Larry. I mean, I think that with Trey Lance, I can understand why he doesn't want to go anywhere else, because if he goes somewhere else, would he have a better situation? He's not going somewhere else to be a starter, right now. I think every team has their starting quarterback. So, and the teams that maybe aren't sold on their starting quarterback, they probably have a young guy that they really want to see. They want it to run its course. So with Trey, I mean, have the 49ers changed their opinion of him? I guess you'd have to say that they have, because a year ago, if you and I are talking, we're talking about Trey Lance, the no questions asked starting quarterback. There was no debate or anything. Like, they anointed him the starter, and now they're not even anointing him the backup. I think all things being equal, Brock Purdy's the starter, and then you have the backup situation. And I always thought, my initial process thinking through the offseason was, well, if Brock Purdy's not ready to go week 1, I think it's going to be Trey Lance as the starter until Purdy is healthy. But now, I don't think so, or at least I'm not sure at all. I think there is a legitimate quarterback competition for the backup job, or the guy who's not Brock Purdy. So, I certainly get the sense that they like Sam Darnold. I also get the sense they like Trey Lance, but they just don't know. They don't know if he can be or he will be a reliable NFL starting quarterback. So I don't know. I mean, it's such a difficult thing, because let's just say, for argument's sake, that Sam Darnold beats him out to be the number 2. Now he's the number 3 guy. And with the new rule, you can keep a third quarterback, you can have him dress, but then he's the emergency guy. But if Trey Lance isn't even your backup, then, what are they doing? Why would they keep him unless they simply can't get anything for him? And then they buy themselves a little bit more time. Maybe Purdy's not all that. Maybe Sam Darnold is the Sam Darnold that we've seen with the Jets in the past. And he showed some glimpses last year with Carolina. So maybe they just they have Trey Lance for 4 seasons. He's already played 2 seasons. So maybe they just kind of buy themselves a little bit of time to see if there's something there. But I just think it can go. I would not be surprised at this point what direction it goes. I mean, it could be as wide ranging as Trey Lance is a starter week 1 in Pittsburgh, or that Brandon Allen is the third quarterback and Trey Lance is on some other team. And I don't know where it's going. I don't know that the team knows where it's going, because I think there are so many different elements to this whole thing about, where the 49ers are with their quarterback situation. And there's so many elements at play here. as far as where they go. I think a lot of it is just kind of playing it by ear.
If you were guessing, what do you think about? We haven't seen Trey enough to really say, okay, they don't like this about his game. What if you were guessing? Do you think it's his accuracy? Is it his processing? Is it his the I see to me he's a little one speeded when it comes to throws. He doesn't take a lot off. He seems like he's coming at you really hard. With the ball, he had a 10% drop rate in a short amount of time because the ball wobbled a lot. Now the mechanics this year at the OTA that I just watched were better for sure. There was still a little wobble, but it wasn't pronounced. I thought that was the best I've ever seen him look. But if you were guessing from afar, what do you think the 40? I mean, is it the 49ers don't like anything, or is it just Brock Purdy appeared and he played and they haven't really changed their thoughts on Trey? They just now they've got a Brock Purdy option, or do you think there's some element of Trey's game that they're like, you know what, he really needs dramatic improvement in this area before we can go with him?
I would say it's the timing and accuracy. Yeah, I think that the arm strength is there. I think he's a smart kid. I think he understands it. I think the processing is okay. Maybe he's not as dynamic as a runner as they thought he could be or would be, but I think the one issue that he has. I mean, when they drafted him, they knew that they weren't getting this pinpoint accurate thrower, but they felt like he had enough other attributes that he didn't have to be pinpoint accurate. Like, because you're playing more 11-on-11 football, there are that leaves Kyle Shanahan the ability to scheme things and have guys more single covered, and guys are going to be maybe more open. So he doesn't have to be super accurate. But I do think that what we saw last year, even in training camp, I mean, we really can't draw any conclusions from what we saw in the real games, because I mean, their one was played in a monsoon and the other one we saw him for whatever that was, like 5 or 6 plays. But I think that just delivering the ball from point A to point B, and what you said, I totally agree with that. When you watch him throw, during his rookie season, just even in warmups, and then last year, that ball, it wasn't a tight spiral. The ball came out. I never recognized that it came out funny, but it did. It wobbled. It wasn't a pure tight spiral. And so what we find out later is because that index finger, he just couldn't bend it. So instead of that ball coming off that finger, he had to kind of adjust things, and a lot of times that ball would come off of the middle finger. And so the Trey Lance we saw in practice this week wasn't perfect. The accuracy wasn't spot on, but the ball did seem to come out of his hand a lot better and with a tighter spiral. So to me, I think that's kind of the thing, is that Kyle Shanahan is such a stickler for, he could spend an hour dissecting one play. And when he coaches these guys up, we're running this play. If they do this defensively, this is going to be open. He loves to have zero mystery on, when he looks at, he knows the play call, obviously, but when he looks at the defense, he knows immediately where the ball should go and if the guy's going to be open. And so he loves that kind of, this is what he's coached him to do. This is what he's going to do. The ball needs to be there. And I think that's, that was the element of Brock Purdy's game that really got him smitten with Brock Purdy, was that, in the meeting room on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, what was coached up was exactly what happened in game day.